Big win for Toronto FC last night. Big crowd at the Jays game. And there was still 26,000 down at BMO Field to watch the 4-1 win over Orlando. And yes, another Sebastian Giovinco hat trick. And anytime Sebastian Giovinco gets a hat trick, we bring in James Sharman from Sportsnet, which happens
twice now,
which happens all the time. How's it going?
Thanks so much. Great. Were you there last night?
No, I was at the ballpark last
Oh,
night.
were you? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I have you on.
Okay.
Today, so you can talk about it. I mean, no jersey. No jersey this time. No tight TFC jersey.
Jay's jersey, at least?
Yeah, just as tight.
Yeah.
What do you say about this guy anymore? You have to expand the conversation, right?
Yeah.
He sets the record for goals in a season for this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He does it way earlier than anybody else. And we know he's the best player we've seen here. Is he the best player the MLS has ever seen? Are we to that level now?
Well, I believe longevity is, a big part of that argument. So let's give him a couple of years. Right now, on merit alone and from pure ability, he has to be in that conversation. I know Greg Vanny last night called him mesmerizing. And that's probably the best word to use for him. He is mesmerizing. And perhaps it's because it's a slightly lower league than what we're used to seeing Giovinco in the Italian Serie A. But he terrifies defenders. He saw 2 goals last night in particular, especially the third goal. The defender was I won't say the words I want to use right now, but he was very nervous, put it that way. And he gave him so much space that in the end it was a pretty easy goal for Giovinco, but only because the fear factor he instills in that defense allows him to get that space. They don't know how to handle him.
It's interesting too because you view how one guy impacts a team, and that's the whole MVP conversation.
Right,
we do it in every sport. Molinaro said today, TFC would be the bottom of the table without this guy. Do you agree with that?
Oh, well, that's a stretch. I mean, someone's going to score the goals, but just because they have Giovinco doesn't mean they shouldn't use him and rely on him. Top teams rely and probably over-rely on their best players. So perhaps that might be the case, but he is a TFC player, therefore he's part of Toronto FC, therefore they should use him and they should depend on him. And, so what? So he's scoring all the goals. Right now he's healthy, touch wood, and long may that continue because, if you're Greg Vanny, if you're Tim Bespachenko, the GM, if you're Michael Bradley, the captain, you're going to be encouraging this team to rely on the best player, arguably, the league's ever seen. Of course you are. James
Sharman, our guest on Brady and Walker. So we've sniffed playoffs before. You've gotten that waft in the air.
There was a waft.
There was a waft.
For a while.
You've never been. You've never been to the windowsill and grabbed that pie. But there's been a waft. Is it as strong now as it's ever been?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there's an expanded playoff format this year as well. More teams do go through regardless, so it's easier. With the game, it's a weird weighted season at the moment. The number of games TFC have in hand on DC United, the top team in the East, I think it's 4 games now. They've got a lot of points in hand. They're not, in there just yet. I mean, there's still plenty of work to do. But yeah, absolutely, this team's playing pretty good soccer. There's some question marks at the back. They're addressing that with the signing of Kantari last week, the Moroccan defender. The deadline's later today, I believe, and there could be some more players coming in as well. So, they're not the complete team yet, but absolutely, they've never been closer.
I know Greg Vanny just obliterated this squad for their defensive play a week ago. When Michael Bradley comes back, just because of what he does in the middle, how much does that improve the defensive game? Just because of the control.
Well, possession-wise, it really helps. He doesn't lose a ball. He's a better passer than they have up there. At the same time, it's been a disjointed campaign for Bradley through suspension, through call-ups to internationals, through injury. He hasn't played that many games in a row. We know what he can do. He's a pretty special player, one of the top players in this league. So, of course, when he returns and plays, the stretch run of this season, they're going to be a much better team keeping that ball. But in his absence, then some kids have stepped up. Marky Delgado, a guy no one thought would do anything before the season. He's played really well in that position. Osorio stepped up when he's had to. We've seen guys like Sheru playing very well. Colin Warner, a throw-in last season, has played excellent soccer in the last couple of weeks in particular. So, the whole team's been growing in the absence of Bradley. But you're right, when he gets back, we're going to see this team how they're supposed to be, and when Altidore gets back as well.
So this is, I know this is a very glass half empty question, but it's not my question. You've heard worse, but this was asked to me today.
Okay.
Because we talked about smelling playoffs, and now for the first time they seem so close. If it doesn't work out, have we reached the point? Have we reached the point where this would be the most surprising, head-scratching type of collapse?
Yes, it would be, because you couldn't point your finger at management this time.
Right.
In the past, you could. Oh, they're not spending money, or they're spending in the wrong places. Maybe if this happens, you could blame Greg Vanny, but up until this point, I think he's done a pretty decent job. So yeah, it'd be stunning, given that they've got the best player in the league right now, arguably of all time in MLS. They've got Michael Bradley. You got Altidore. You got a good spine of the team too, with Perkis and Cheru and Kantari. You got some youthful exuberance in there as well. They're the most balanced team I've seen in 8 years. So yeah, it would be stunning at this point if they didn't.